What's up, y'all? I know it's dark in the room. I can't really do nothing about it. I'm gonna try. Hang on. All right, there you go. I hope you guys can see me. This is the best I can do. Unsweetened tea in the morning, eh? So yeah, I was hoping I wasn't gonna have to do another video, and I can't leave this spot because as we speak, I'm uploading a video right now, and fucking 3 attempts. It's been taking my whole morning, man. I only have like this half of the day free, but um, I found out about something. I was on a journey yesterday, and I didn't even know about this. My phone went off, and I found out Gene Carlos posted something on TUWC. Uh, and every time that boy posts something, I'm just like, uh oh, because it's usually some news that I don't know about. Like he's not TMZ, but he always gets us the scoop in that group. And I did a rhyme. And he posted a video by Ken Anderson, with Ken Anderson in it. And I clicked on the video while I was on my phone, and the people were chanting "fuck TNA" at him, and he's like, "I don't work there anymore, so fuck TNA. You right." And then the crowd started chanting that. So I guess that confirms Anderson's gone. Anderson debuted at a pay per view that I actually watched. He debuted with the Hogan Bischoff transition. I think he was filling in for Bobby Lashley in a match with Abyss at Genesis 2010. Which I love that show, by the way. Yeah, he debuted there, and he won the match somehow. Abyss is a big guy, but he beat Abyss somehow, and that was his debut match. He cheated. He used brass knucks in the match, and so that confirmed that he was coming in as a heel. And he got like this big push like right away. Like he was in that, what's it called, the 5-star tournament or the eight card star tournament or something, and he lost to the Pope. So the Pope was going to go to lockdown and get a title shot. I'm pretty sure that the Pope was going to win the world title if RVD didn't come along. And now the Pope is calling matches, but whatever. I still think the Pope should have won it, but RVD was wrecking shop as champion that year. But yeah, he had that feud with Kurt Angle the minute he came in, and they beat the fuck out of each other. And I remember Angle brutalized him in the cage, and then Anderson goes like that, and Angle finishes him off. And then he had that match with Jeff Hardy. Um, he had a match with Jeff Hardy at Sacrifice. I actually attended that show. That was my first TNA show. Great, 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 great show. Great show. And Hardy won, but then they shook hands and they became a tag team called the Enigmatic Assholes or something because Anderson called himself the asshole. And that was the thing too. He called his fan base Anderson's assholes. Um, and I know he wasn't acting, but because that's what he is. He's an asshole. Let me move this up because it's fucking bothering me. And yeah, he was like a top god bidding push in 2010. And they even were going to tease having him win the title. You know, when they were building up I thought that Anderson was actually in and a lot of people did too. It turned out Jeff Hardy was the one in but I'm pretty sure Anderson. I think they were going to put RVD there or Anderson. I know Hogan won one of them, and then they decided. I guess Bischoff decided to go with Jeff Hardy. They wanted to have one of the guys that Hogan and Bischoff brought in. That's why Sting was attacking them. But yeah, Anderson main evented Bound for Glory. A part of me wanted him to win, but Jeff Hardy turned heel and he got the title. And then Anderson entered a feud with Jeff Hardy, but his head was busted open, so he had to miss a couple months on TV. He comes back, wins the championship from Jeff Hardy at Genesis a year after he debuted. Anderson is then the new TNA World Champion. Loses it in a ladder match against Jeff Hardy. And then, after that, he starts acting like a tweener because Sting had the title. So he was like turning on Hardy and turning on RVD. And then when Sting had the title, they turned Anderson heel again. He came in, he was a heel and a face and then a heel again. And he was starting to act like The Rock. They kept trying to get him to be an immortal, but he refused. And then he had that match, his time anniversary with Sting, where he was dressed up like 90s Surfer Sting. And he was being dirty as hell in that match, and he fucking won the title for the second time in his career. So Mr. Ken Anderson was a 2-time TNA World Champion. And after he won the title at Slammiversary for the second time, he did join Immortal. Like, they said, what's he going to do? And then he turns and he joins Immortal. Like, he had been teasing a heel turn, like, even after he won the title, but he joined Immortal. And then he lost the title to Joker Sting a week later. You know, I don't know how much sense that necessarily makes. And then, like, Immortal's, like, treating him like the black sheep, the redheaded stepchild. Bully Ray is, like, leading the whole hazing Ken Anderson thing. So Anderson's face again. And then he faces Bully Ray at Bound for Glory and he wins. I like that match, by the way. It was a good match. It was like a Street Fighter, Falls Count Anywhere. Falls Count Anywhere, that's what it was. And then he teamed up with Abyss in the end of 2011. Abyss and him were former Immortal guys. And they beat Scott Steiner and Bully Ray. And then Anderson had not been on TV for 4 months after that. And then he comes back as a face. And he teams up with AJ Styles against Bad Influence for a couple months. Like they were a tag team, and then they feuded with Bad Influence, and then they were both on Team Garrett against Bad Influence, who were on Team Bischoff, Eric Bischoff, at Lockdown, and the Team Garrett Bischoff beat Team Eric Bischoff at Lockdown, and then he got taken out and they put Kurt Angle in a spot, but with AJ Styles, but he had been feuding with Aces and Eights along with Team TNA, and they beat the fuck out of Anderson, took him off TV. He couldn't. He was out of Bound for Glory. Like, they were gonna put him and Sting against Aces and Eights at Bound for Glory, but he got taken out, and they put Bully Ray in there. And then of course Anderson comes back and he joins Aces and Eights. He joins Aces and Eights. They took him out, but he joins for some reason. And he was like the leader of them. Like, without Bully Ray, he was like the guy leading charge. Him and Devon. And then when he had that feud with Doc for position of VP, and when D'Lo Brown was removed from the group, they voted in Anderson as a VP of Aces and Eights. And he had a good feud with Kurt Angle while he was in Aces and Eights. I mean, they had another cage match, but it was still a good feud because the storyline was he betrayed Angle in the locker room to join Aces and Eights, so Angle had to go teach Anderson a lesson. And while he was in Aces and Eights, there was like tension once he was VP because he wanted to be world champion. And Bubba didn't like that. Bully Ray was the world champion. So they had a match, they had a feud, and they had a match at No Surrender for the title. And Bully Ray won because Aces and Eights had turned on Anderson. And they kicked him out of the group after Bully beat him. So then Anderson had a feud with the Aces and Eights where he was trying to disband them. And he beats Bully Ray, and Mr. Anderson was the man that disbanded Aces and Eights after their 18-month reign in TNA. And then he had that match with that feud with Bully Ray. Bully Ray had no Aces and Eights colors and they had a feud. Anderson was talking about like killing his twins and shit. And then Anderson goes ahead and he wins that feud. And then he enters into a program with Samuel Shaw, because he was trying to protect Christy Hemme from the psycho stalker. I was at that show. Sam Shaw had a match with Anderson at Lockdown. I was there in Miami 2014. And Sam Shaw won because he used Christy as distraction. But Ken Anderson had beat Sam Shaw at Sacrifice, and he put in an ambulance and sent him to the funny farm. And then he had, when that was done, he had a feud with James Storm. And I really feel bad for James Storm because James Storm had lost a feud to Gunner, and then he lost a feud to Anderson. Anderson was like coming out making fun of him and shit with his old music. I'm drinking near beer, you're drinking real beer. And then Storm would be like, why are you drinking near beer? He's like, revenge, bitch, and he's beating the shit out of Storm. He beats him at Slammiversary. Yeah, Storm had lost like feud after feud with Gunner and then Mr. Anderson. And then Anderson had a tag team with Gunner, and because they were former, they were former military, and then they were both helping up Chris Melendez. His tag team with Gunner ended quick though because Gunner was being friends with Sam Shaw, and Anderson didn't like Samuel Shaw, so he goes on a team with Chris Melendez, and they had like a feud with Kenny King or something. And yeah, they had a lot of military there, former military. They had Chris Melendez, Gunner, and Mr. Anderson. And they were all allies, like, at one point. When they were in the New York tapings. Yeah. they were building up in 2015 EC3, and one of EC3's challengers was Mr. Anderson, former world champion. So Anderson had a feud with Tyrus in EC3, where he called Tyrus like a big bitch or something. He had that man locked in a cage, but he lost like almost every time. I think EC3 beat him 3 times in a row, and then EC3 was like ranked number one to be number one contender, and that actually led EC3 winning the championship from Kurt Angle after his feud with Anderson. You know, the funny thing about that feud is that it started because Anderson was mad at EC3 and Tyrus for bullying Rockstar Spud and Andrews. He did give Tyrus a haircut though. That was funny. And then of course he was in that Bound for Glory gauntlet, and he got eliminated by Tyrus. He was the last one eliminated. And then he was in that world title series that was taped like 4 months in advance. And sorry guys, I have a cough. And yeah, like that's what I remember from him recently. I don't think he was at. Well, yeah, he was there, but the thing that I don't get is they did this failed thing with him where he was like, "Huh?" It was a show called "Huh," and that was dumb. The only memorable thing about that was that the baby Maxwell Hardy just kept staring at him like this, like he was crazy. It was funny. Apparently, in the Bethlehem tapings, he got released for bad behavior. And he tested positive for pills, and he was fucked up during his match with Eric Young. And so they said, enough, you're getting released. So he goes to an indie show, and he reveals, because they're trying to fuck TNA, so he's like, I'm not there anymore, so yeah, fuck TNA. I really don't think he's going to come back to WWE, but wherever he goes, I wish him luck. Mr. Anderson! Anderson!